And we're live from the res with two dark natives.
I'm Andre Dominguez, co-host Raul J. Chrisman.
In the house, and we have our special guest tonight. We have none other than the man himself, Mr. Mylo Smith Jr., comedian extraordinaire, live speaker. I just go on with the list. How are you doing this evening?
Sex symbol.
Native model.
I've modeled in the past, yeah.
That is right.
Dabbled,
I've dabbled in
Well, you know what? Let's go down the list.
Let's go
Let's go down the list. I know you do a lot of things. I was actually, I had a list in my head and I just stopped at like 2 things, but I know you've done a lot of things.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you've done these days?
I've manned hickey booths at Powwows. I've been a stepdad. I'm pretty good at that. You know,
good.
I think that's woven into every Indian man's DNA right there.
Takes a village, they say.
I remember all my stepdads.
First they were uncles.
Yeah. Well, first they were cousins. Then they became uncles. I don't know how that all works out.
Yeah. But don't judge them, though. Just judge my mom. She's the relevant one. Yeah.
Well, that's why the old ones say we're all related. You don't realize that when the elders are saying it.
Yeah.
They're just telling about their own histories.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'm roaming MC this weekend. That was the official title.
I gotta say, you did a good job there at Saquon Powwow 2019. Mylo was called in as a roaming MC. Really just an MC, though. You know, it was like we all broke up parts. I know you had this Sunday afternoon grand entry. I thought you rocked it real good. I thought it was good. You get some laughs. I thought the vibes were real high. Did a good job. What do you think of this weekend, man? How do you feel?
Man, honestly, it's sad. It's all over now.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, this is... I used to have a couple of powwows that would let me on the mic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I won't cross the line or what.
Who's this guy?
No, but... yeah, so now I'm to this point where it's, you know, Saquon, but, you know... a lot of them powwows back home are a little bit, you know how we can be as Indian people, just stuck in tradition, you know? This guy's emceed our powwows, you know, since we were killing mammoths, you know?
They're bringing him in with a walker and air supply.
And, you know, nothing against, the older guys, you know? I mean, all the respect in the world. I've been listening to, you know, and it just, you know, it goes kind of against tradition to bring the new guy in. You know, and as Native people, it's kind of what we're always trying to do is, you know, traditionally, you know, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, but, you know, it's kind of getting to that day and age where you got to be a little bit more progressive, you know, and start thinking about the future because, you know, I always use the example, you know, of like, you know, you could take this and run a parallel in a lot of things, but, you know, like health, like food. You know, our teachings are, you know, to eat everything up. When somebody gives you food, you eat it up. But when you go over to, you know, Grandma and Auntie's house and they give you a mountain of spaghetti, you know, you should probably think, well, I know this ain't all that healthy for me, and I probably shouldn't eat all of it. You know, nowadays our people are suffering with diabetes. Yeah. And so now it becomes, you know, well, that teaching has got to be a little bit updated. I know it's not healthy for me. They got a thing called portion control, which they teach in school. You know, your stomach's, you know, not the inside doesn't have to have stretch marks. You know, you're not supposed to have a hump like a camel right here. You know, and the updated version, you know, updated teaching would probably be, you know, hey, just take what you can, you know, what you're gonna eat. You know, you don't have to waste it, you know?
Try to hold on to that warrior body, you know?
Yeah.
You're 12 years old and everybody was a baller.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you get 35 years old and it's like, all of a sudden, I used to be a baller.
Yeah. You're looking at me and you're like, oh man, shoot, you know, I'm getting older. And as you get older, you just, you know, you start thinking about that kind of stuff of, you know, the long run, you know?
You know, I noticed it with the MCs is the older guys all wear that, like kind of like that patented cowboy hat, you know.
Hat.
And now the young guys who go
Tight
all
old
in,
pants.
tight,
Yeah.
200
I
degrees.
seen Clifton with some tight pants on this weekend, you know, and I seen he had his phone in his back pocket, and I don't know if it rang or not, but that thing, like, it must have turned all the way around, like it was that flat back there, you know, it just did a whole, just vibrated all the way around.
His
Man.
pocket started glowing. Is he wearing spandex or how tight are those jeans? Where we going?
It looked like he was twerking.
The jeans are moving by themselves.
That's how I answer my phone. Now we see that in our area too, though. You know, we got like that old school mentality. It's everywhere. You know, wear Indian sized shirts. You know, be large in charge, and everything's, you know, a little bit slower paced, and then just eat and eat and eat. And you know, I'm always making like little jokes about the fry bread, but you know that stuff too. It's like you come from a cold climate. Out here it's warm. You probably don't need to eat that much fry bread. You know, I mean, especially when there's a lot of healthier options near us.
Especially in San Diego.
Yeah.
So were you in that? Yeah.
I've ate fried bread twice this year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's not really that much in my diet either, but you know.
Yeah.
Especially, I think when you go around those circuits, because we travel with, you know, my uncle. He's like really into fitness and things like that, and he's just started to come around to all these gatherings, and he doesn't eat very much throughout the week. He works like 6 days a week, and he's like super fit, right? And he started going around to all these things with us, but then like he started to eat, and like this weekend he said, "Bro, I can't hang out with you no more."
Like that.
You started to soften up, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I mean, you know, we've had, you know, I guess our education, you know, I don't want to say, because I live off res, and you just start, you know, I guess start tuning in with, you know, what other people are doing. We go work out too, you know. We're not as consistent as we'd like to be, but you know, the education's there enough where it's like we're self-aware of our problems.
Sure.
And we know what we're putting our body in, you know, like what we're putting into our body. So, you know, a lot of natives on the res, I mean, it's not there. They don't even know that much. You don't care to, you know, educate. It's just, that's just what it is. The typical diet, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's become accepted, and you know, I mean, and foods, I guess, healthier foods.
Mylo, where exactly are you from too? Where are you? Where
okay. Oh, yeah.
You should probably go that. I know where you're from, but I think some people may not.
Okay. I'm from South Dakota. I'm from the Crow Creek Reservation in Fort Thompson. I'm actually from the Big Bend District, which is like 30, 40 miles from like the mainland of the res. And so we're out in the country. You know, I thought this was pretty country here. You could still see lights and stuff like that. Yeah. Like the casinos right down the road. You know,
those are fake lights, by the way. Strobe lights you put in the sky.
Yeah, like it's just like literally it's like 12 houses huddled together out in the prairie.
Wow.
I mean, you know, and everybody knows each other. You're all cousins for reals.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's got to play a big part of your health as well, right? Because a lot of the year you guys are snowed in. It's cold up there.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, commods.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I guess them unhealthy stuff, you know, that's all.
You know. What's the closest town to you guys? Like, so, you know, for us, everything, especially right here, is everything's accessible. You know, we have those easy.
You go in and out, and you know, exactly. You don't have Chinese in the afternoon, and then
So some people do.
Yeah.
Some people do.
I legit do that. I'll have like panda during the day, Mexican at night, you know.
Yeah.
Pizza midnight snack, whatever I need, you know.
I just came from that taco shop. That's it. We pulled in, man. They had it was all closed up and locked up and everything, and I was just like, all right, well, we're going around a corner, and it was like called Trumpé or something like that. But the tacos were good there too.
Yeah, no, Alpine's got like all kinds of great taco shops. Every time when natives come in from outside of California or outside of San Diego, I'm always like, hey, check out these taco shops. Anything's good. And it's like they're a dime a dozen. They're all over the place. But it's good.
Where we were, we got off the interstate. We were like 12, 15 miles from the border.
Yeah.
And it was for real Mexican dude cooking our stuff right there. Like he was trying to cook his way out the struggle. You could taste that love in there, man. That was passion in that. Like it was really good, man. He's trying to cook his way out of poverty. So you make it to the top.
One taco at a time.
Yeah.
So you've been traveling a lot this year. I know I saw you out in Yuma. I saw you up in Northern California. You came out to a Weaver's Conference. You've been hitting the road a little bit out this way, which is good to see.
Yeah, with the videos, I do all these sketch videos on Facebook, and I've been lazy about it lately. It's just kind of opened up, more opportunities, more people been calling. So, probably got like over 10 million views on Facebook with the videos combined, if not more. So,
how'd you get into all that? So, like, you're pretty established now, and obviously you're getting bigger. You're like saying 10,000 or whatever you said just now. 10 million? You said 10,000.
10 million views.
Million.
Million. So how'd you get started in all that?
Well, I just push, repeat on when I fall asleep every night, they just keep going and keep playing.
Can I log into your phone for a second?
Yeah. You guys should do that with me. I feel like we're bros like that.
Good on the inside track.
Interesting.
It'll be good, especially with this video too. There's probably 3 people watching.
Hey, 3 people. Welcome. Kumi Island. Hope you're having a good time. We're here in sunny San Diego. The sun went down a while ago. But we got Mylo here talking about how did you get into comedy, I guess is the question.
Oh, all right. Well, so it's kind of been, everybody, you live on a res, everybody's funny.
Yeah.
Everybody's funny and you clown each other,
Yeah.
And I'll say I'm more on the timid, I can't even talk. The timid side of things. Like, I think the comedy does a real good job of kind of masking that I'm an introvert and kind of emo.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of found like, an outlet to be able to be accepted,
Yeah.
But high school was a guy named Chance Rush came to my high school when I was a kid. He used to, I think he's Choctaw and like Sioux and Hidatsa, something like that. He's from Oklahoma. But he did a comedy show at the school that I was at. And I walked away, I was like, man, that's the coolest thing I ever saw. I was like, I didn't know Indians could be funny on that type of level.
Yeah.
And then we start watching like Don Bernstick was old school, it was old school VHS tapes back then. You had to hit rewind and watch everything. And then my uncle J.R. Redwater was a comedian. He's still running California, the circuit. And one day he kind of just called and said, he had, started making a name for himself doing comedy and speaking at different places. And he just said, hey, it's been kind of funny, you want to try it out? And I'll give you a spot at my next show in South Dakota. And I called a treatment center that I graduated from when I sobered up. I was like 19 years old, man. And so graduated from treatment. JR actually came and performed on the day I graduated. He did comedy and kind of encouraged me just because he happened to have a show. And in recovery, you don't know what to do yet. You don't know how to operate. You're fresh. You knew that stuff. You're like, you didn't know what it was like, not having this in your life no more. Like you didn't know, like, hey, I'm done drinking, like, and drugging, like. And how am I going to operate? What does Friday and Saturday night look like nowadays? And that became a real challenge, I guess,
Yeah, in our area, I see a lot of people when they sober up, they kind of go in different avenues. One is to go get extremely healthy, hit the gym. That becomes like their every day. They got to go 2 hours and they just put all that energy into that. And the other thing is like culture. I see a lot of our cultural, even leaders now, they're all guys that are in recovery. And I think it seems like the recovery opens them up a little bit too, to be a little bit more gentle and understanding and empathetical, and I think you need to have some of those attributes to carry some of our old ways.
Yeah.
And they do. They get into our singing, they get into our dancing, our storytelling and everything. And it's really cool because those are needs that our people have that need to be fulfilled. Someone needs to dedicate themselves to these things to continue them. And so, You know, in our area, oftentimes it's those.
Sage now.
Yeah,
It's gonna make us cry now, huh? I'm gonna like that sage,
I
but
just want to say, I would like to
vote
thank,
for Christmas on the
yeah.
28th of October.
No, for real, I'm running for no mayor of Alpine.
Well, you brought it up.
But no, I do see that need fulfilled like that,
Yeah,
man. It's
yeah.
great. It's like, and then give it back in a really, really positive way. So you feel like comedy's kind of filled that for you?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, that's how I ended up getting into powwow. As I was actually trying to be a singer first. And I didn't turn into one. You know that movie Happy Feet? You know that movie Happy Feet where all the penguins can sing and dance? And there's that one penguin that can't? I'm that penguin.
Yeah.
That's what it is right now, man. But, I just...
Well, how far into powwow did you go? Did you start dancing? Were you like
no.
Southern Straight and then came back next powwow? Like, I
Tried every category.
Yeah, so I'm out of breath. Fancy. It's like 2 push-ups and I quit. I tap out.
Lay on the ground up there.
Came back as an MC.
Smash Bustles.
Yeah.
That's his Indian name. Smash Bustles.
2 powwows later, you're serving beans at the food line.
Yeah.
Found my
Serving at the
place.
cook line. Got a hairnet on. My oyate, my people. Yeah, and I traveled around with the group for years, man, and you know, uncles, everything, we did it all. But you know, that took over Friday, Saturday night when I was, you know, running around partying, sobered up. I was, you know, in the culture, and then, you know, as you grow in that way, you want to grow and you want to know more and more, and so, you know, the part of it kind of took hold like that, where, you know, priestdom and ceremonies and, you know, all these places and learning, and still continuing today. So that's, you know.
Where do you see it all going for you? Where do you want this to go? Do you have
I want to be a stage 5 medicine man at least. You know?
You're in the right spot in California. When I set that blanket up by the beach. Indian names given.
Yeah.
Needs a special medicine.
That's what I was doing today.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing, man.
I was wondering what all the face paint was you had on.
Yeah. In case any of you guys that are watching don't know, I came straight from San Diego, straight from Mission Beach here. I didn't even shower for you. I came.
But you're in the water, right?
I was in the water.
Always good.
But, you know, I could tell you, I got sand in places where sand doesn't even want to be right now.
Trying to get out on.
It'll be there for a few days.
It will.
Yeah.
It will. Yeah.
You know, Indians from other areas are always like, oh, you're from California, you're from San Diego. They always assume like a couple things. They assume that, like, first off, they're like, oh, there's Indians over there? You know, like some people don't really know there's natives over here still. The Southern Swing Powwow, Saquon Powwow, and these places, you know, they kind of like put us on the map a little bit. But then like everyone assumes that like we go to the beach every day. Like, oh man, you must go. I mean, there's some people that do, but like we're kind of inland right now. We're an hour inland from the beach.
Yeah.
Andre lives in the mountains. That's like another hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we go to the beach, but like me, I go like maybe twice a year.
Yeah, he's got a donkey parked outside.
We're that far
For the
out.
path.
The other thing is people always assume that we like hang out with like famous people all the time, like we live by Hollywood or something like that. I've gotten a lot of that over the
Well,
years.
see, I lived out here. I lived out here with JR when I was in training to be a comedian, and I was hitting the comedy clubs
In LA?
in LA.
Okay.
And I've even been as far south here. I've even performed at Pachanga in their comedy club downstairs.
Oh, nice.
La Jolla, like in their what is it called? It's got a comedy club too. Anaheim, Long Beach, North Hollywood. Man, I've been in some pretty rough places. Dive bars, everything you can think of, man. We used to do this one on. It was Fridays. It was called a Laughaholics 201 Club in Anaheim. There's an AA house, and so you'd have literally people in there that are fiending out crackheads that are a day sober, and this is what they're gonna do: is they're gonna put on a comedy show. And we went in, and you know, Cali, you're kind of seen as a novelty item because there's a million Mexican comedians, million black comedians, million white comedians, million Asian comedians. But there were only 5 or 6 of us at that time when I was rolling around out here, and I was the youngest. So, you kind of looked at it as kind of, and most general audiences don't know much past stereotypes.
Right.
You know, so you're stuck playing the stereotypes of everything. I was pretty racist in my comedy. I talk about Asian drivers who can't drive. You know, I mean, I think one of my jokes was something about like a black guy spending time with his kids, like, you know, like just I mean, I was
just
it was hardcore.
Yeah,
it was, you know, I mean, because you come soft out here, you know, it's a different monster than Indian country, like. They're gonna eat you up.
Yeah.
So you gotta be bold.
It sounds like some of those venues must have been kind of rough. Like, that's brutal if you bomb. You got a bunch of people relapsing in the audience. Look, man, I'm trying to get sober. You're killing me here. Literally.
Forget it. I'd rather die this way than watch this guy.
I killed at the comedy shop. Not like that, though.
Yeah. Oh, man.
What's your best place that you've ever gone to? Like what stands out in your mind? Like when I did this place, you know, and performed here. What's like number one in your books?
It's tough because I don't think I have a.
No.
I just want to do well. I just want to kill it like that. Like, you know, when you actually do get comedy shows, and it's like this. You can't really see too much of the audience, so you don't remember.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you remember what the audience gives you, the energy, the laughs. I think one place that does stand out, and I seen Homegirl this past weekend at the Powwow. I don't know if you know December Arrowwhite. She's a jingle dress dancer.
I know
She's got red on her forehead up there. She brought me to Fort Hall, and on a whim, it was their tribal employee Christmas dinner. Held in January because they're real Indians in Fort Hall and they don't have their Christmas party till January.
The real Indian time.
2 weeks later.
Jeez.
But I walked in, there was like 400 people, you know, and everybody's dressed nice.
Yeah.
Like you know,
You
the
smell that
ladies are in
smoking,
dresses.
you smell the smoked leather moccasins or... I think of Fort Hall, I always think of that leather they have there in their gift shop.
Like that, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that buckskin, that fresh buckskin. Yeah. But... And I was sitting across from December, and I'm usually like stone cold, like before a show, you know? I'm just like trying to think of, you know, okay, well, how's this going to go now that I know the environment, kind of sizing everything up, being a little analytical, and you know, everybody's got this, you know, I guess idea that a comedian's like, hey, how you guys doing? You know, and he walks in the room and he's like, hey, I do, and he's instantly funny, but you know, here I was, you know, just, who's this guy? You know, just who's this guy sitting there? Oh, this is our entertainment. And I just reach over and, hey, my name's Mylo. And here I am sitting with general managers, tribal you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm just kind of quiet. And December said, you know, at one point she looked over and she told me after the show, this was before, I'm sitting there. I remember the look on her face and she's like, man, you know, I don't know. I don't know what Mylo, you know. I don't know how this is going to go because, you know, it's either going to go really bad or really good, you know. Luckily that night I was on fire and it was a really good show. And Fort Hall, they were like, they had George Lopez like 2 weeks before and they were like, you were funnier than George Lopez that night. I'm not saying that I'm better than George Lopez or, you know, I should
be. You heard it here first.
You know.
I'll say it.
But it was an awesome night, and you know, I think December looked over at me like after the show, and she was just smiling, like, and she's like, you know, I'm really glad you did good because I was nervous for you. You know?
She's like, I'm gonna have to hear it.
Yeah.
I told you.
Can you imagine be that person though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I know a guy. You're sitting there like this all night, man.
Hey, so do you remember your first comedian show?
Yeah, it was in Rosebud, South Dakota, at the treatment center that I graduated from.
Yeah, were you like super nervous going into, like, for those people who like maybe want to join comedy? Who, it's like you said, there's every res has those comedians. We all joke around with each other. Like, how does somebody get into? Oh, you know, your way of getting into it is, as you know, you had, you know, those connections. But how do you get that courage to get out there? And were you nervous getting out there?
I mean, you want to say that it was a piece of cake, but it wasn't. I mean, my first show, I had probably like 10 minutes and I took off work that day. I didn't get paid, you know, and I took off work, and then in my mind, the whole ride there, I remember I recited my jokes because I knew if I nailed everything that I had to say, I had like 10 minutes. And depending on how the audience is going to react and laugh, and I remember my first 2 jokes. My first joke started out with, as I was writing comedy, JR told me, hey, write what you think's funny. I happened to go to IHS in Fort Thompson, my home res, and I lived off res. I lived in Pierre, which is like 30 miles away. And I drove down to the res, and I seen a dog scratching in the ditch as I got like to the res line. It was like the welcome committee, the welcome party. It was like, a dog scratching, and I thought to myself, I ain't seen that in a while. Like, I lived in a white town, and Pierre is the capital of South Dakota, so all these, trunk guys are all ultra clean. And, man, you see people walking their dog, white people walking their dog, and the dog's got a leash, and
the dog's got a MAGA hat on.
The dog's got a hat on, a little sweater on, and everything. I mean, the dog looks healthy, all its shots. It's taken care of, better than a res kid.
No,
in some cases, Like you see, you know what I'm talking about. Just real clean, and then I see this. I pull in the res, and there's dogs like wandering around in packs of them, and they're mangy. They don't look that big.
They got bugs too.
Yeah, they got bugs. They got kids. They got like. And so that became, I just started jotting it down. I just started writing things that I spent, and finally, I wrote all kinds of different jokes just based off of the res dog, and I think I was one of the first comedians to go. This is before Facebook, and we didn't have memes on even MySpace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't have memes on MySpace, like so Facebook, kind of.
You would just hold up a piece of paper with a joke on it.
MySpace was the joke. My top 10.
Top 10. What was your song? You have a special song?
It's a layout. You're my background. You're my wallpaper on my MySpace.
You gotta throw everything you are in one picture. You got negative, you got the pose, you got a book to show you're smart a little bit. You got some sage on the side. You got
sage on the side.
Hand drum in the back.
A bandana on a pocket. You're hard, but you're dish at the same time. You know what I mean? Got a res tattoo. Unfinished, but you still got to show it off.
You get it at the angle so it looks like it's just half of the tattoo.
You get it just right. It's a feather. It's a brown feather.
It's a brown feather.
Gonna fill it later.
Those are the days, man.
MySpace is old though. Kids today kind of talk about they know the struggle. Nothing, man. Shoot. Even like we're spoiled. Compared to that generation before us, and then the generation before them would probably say the generation before would kick our butts. So it's definitely I mean, we've been through a lot. We've been through this technological advancement era where we don't know what it's going to be.
Just in my lifetime, and I'm 25 or 27. Hey,
you're 27?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay. Dang, man. Did you used to drink?
Yeah.
Older.
Just started, huh?
You got that jaundice.
You got that jaundice. That jaundice is kind of hidden differently.
Is that a suntan? No.
Powdering up before we went live.
Now you got like 4 viewers probably there tuning in.
Yeah.
We're building it all the way through.
All 4, inbox me your names that are watching right now. All 4 of you guys, and whenever we reach a certain amount of followers and likes, I will remember you 4.
And we're gonna get you won a prize. You won a prayer from us. We'll pray for you.
You feel these prayers hitting your face right now?
We're gonna send some thoughts and prayers to you, positive ones, good vibes.
Yeah.
Send you each some sacred vibes from California, some sun vibes.
Do you got to start again?
We're good, man.
Oh, we're going. We're rolling.
Yeah,
all right.
So let's do a quick 3-sec, and we'll start in like that. And we'll ask you. Want us to ask a question?
We'll continue.
We'll ask. What's going on now?
No,
We're all rezzed out here, man.
We're good.
When we say live from the res, That's me. I get to talk. Now, you know when we say live from the res, you know, people like have different expectations of that, you know. But for us, it's like we want to be authentic with all of this. You know, we do want it to be like, I mean, you know, I don't have like a degree in sound engineering, and I'm not from like a major network, and Andre, from what I understand, isn't also. But like, you know, we want this to be authentic. You know, we want for people to listen and watch this, and then to have like this is what natives are, the real essence. You know, because sometimes like when people do see natives, it is that stereotype you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, it is that like posturing, like, you know, like that, you know, and the stare off and the deep voice, and you know, and that kind of stuff. And extra majestic, you know.
You're like a unicorn, in real life.
Hair down, and I look like I'm all rizzed out savage mode.
Yeah.
But so do you see that going around in different communities? Like, what's the craziest thing you've seen like that? Just people
like stereotypes.
Just assuming the craziest things about Native peoples. Because you lived in LA, you must have seen some craziness out there.
Well, in LA, you see, I mean, that's just the general knowledge, you know. I mean, people don't really care to educate themselves about, you know, natives because they're assuming we're dying or dead.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, the out here it's different because it's nice. It's like, you know, oh, you're native? Well, cool, you know? And then the other thing is they think all natives are rich out here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Pachanga. You see Pachanga on the Lakers. You know, on the basketball. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so people assume that, you know, you're rich or, but you know, I'm poorer than pretty much everybody on the planet. Well, in the United States, I'm pretty poor, but you know, I'm balling in Pine Ridge though. You know, I got star quilts and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm like, I'm gonna get by. You know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's loaded with the stereotypes in LA, and I mean not just LA, but everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I seen a post today on Facebook, and you know, this is in Bismarck, North Dakota, and they just had United Tribes powwow there. This weekend.
Yeah.
You know, when we were rocking out at Sequan, United Tribes powwow was going on. But, you know, Bismarck is now home of, you know, the protest and everything, you know,
all that counter protesting there, right?
all this stuff, you know, that, you know, the aftermath of everything, you know, I got family and relatives that went to United Tribes, and, you know, one of the things is rummage sales are big at United Tribes powwow. It's kind of maybe an 80s tradition, I don't know.
What do you mean, like they have a swap meet at the powwow?
Like at rummage sales, the white people, you know, and all the natives are coming to town for United Tribes, so they plan their rummage sales for that week. And I mean, it's probably $1 million business in North Dakota.
Really?
You know? I mean, I don't know. Just saying, but
so the natives have an opportunity to go to get some good stuff at a good price.
Yeah,
and
you know, there was a lot of slandering and derogatory remarks made to natives, you know, and posted on the Rants of Bismarck page, and you know, and all this, you know, be careful, you know, there's a bunch of drunk dumb Indians out driving, you know, it's United Tribes weekend. I'd advise just staying home. Meanwhile, this community thrives because of that weekend, you know, because of that, you know, and so, you know, it's all over. I think it's more prevalent, you know, I don't want to say more prevalent, but it's more common because of in South Dakota and North Dakota, the region, it's still very much cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, no, you definitely feel that, you know, like here in California, you'll get individuals that are like, you know, you'll hear like, oh, there's no racism anymore. It's in the 50s and the 60s and stuff like that. It's always white males that says stuff like that, though. But I mean,
I'm not racist.
But you know, I'm not my best friends, you know, whatever. But it's like people forget on the West Coast and the East Coast. I've been to the East Coast a few times, and it's very diverse.
Yeah.
You get to where you're from, man, middle of the country.
Yeah.
I remember one time I went out there, and went out with a bunch of my nephews and my mom. They went out for ceremony out there, and we went to a restaurant. And my mom wanted to go down and sit down, like have a sit down restaurant. And we're like northern Nebraska, and I'm like, Mom, we should just get something quick to go, you know? No, honey, let's sit down and have you know, a nice, you know, all right, we'll go sit down and have a nice lunch. Well, I was in the car, you know, doing my hair, and I was last to go in, and my nephews that went, they're very light-skinned complected, you know, they're not dark like me. They had short hair, and
You
it
took
looked
all
like
the darkness in the whole
yeah, I
family.
just pulled it all in.
Yeah.
They all look like the Backstreet Boys, and I look like Boys to Men. And I come rolling in. It's like the Sacred Four Colors. I'm the dark triangle, I'm the dark slice of the pizza. But so I go rolling in, and I'm not joking. I walked in, and the whole place just got quiet.
Yeah.
And people looked at me, and you talk about flying milk, and I was like, whoa, like what's going on? And my nephews were laughing about it. They were like, yeah, it was all normal. They got quiet and everybody looked, and we looked over, and they're all looking at you.
Yeah.
I was like, but I could just feel it. I was just like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
For me, I was kind of like, walking back into like a history book, because you see some stuff. You see that out here, we call it the institutional racism. It's very covert, and it's kind of, like I said, it's in the institutions. It's not really in your face. It's not really.
It's subtle. It's
subtle.
behind your back.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about people when they leave.
Yeah. And it's a little bit in the trends. You have to look at the trends. Oh, how come this demographic's getting treated this way and this one's that way? But over there, it's in your face.
Yeah.
And I felt that, and I seen that. So when the No DAPL thing happened, the Dakota Access Pipeline, the protest against that, we had a lot of people from California, LA, San Diego, this region. They were taking supplies over. They were going over. And I remember telling a bunch of them, like, hey,
be careful.
Be careful, man. It's a different world over there. It's not, you can't go in the store and like, you're not going to talk to me that way. It's like, no, they're going to talk to you that way.
Let me see the manager. I own this place. I am the manager.
I'll call the cops. I am the cop.
And
call
if
my
brother
cousin.
shows up and they look the same, here's Elmer. Go ahead. No, it's like that, man. Honestly, that's why I'm glad I live in the city. Out here, it's good to be brown.
Yeah, it is, right?
You get jobs. You say assume you're Mexican. You put in they look at you. Imagine employers looking at them job applications. What do you think? They're like, out here, they're like, Stephen Wright. Mylo Lazy Horse. That don't sound like a worker to me. Something Rodriguez. Call this one. This one seems like a winner.
We got some real work that needs to be done.
Yeah, that looks like about minimum wage right there.
One of my cousins, he was sitting there. He was waiting for the bus down here. Funniest story ever. I thought it was hilarious. He was sitting there waiting for the bus. He was trying to go. I don't know where he was trying to go, back to his home or whatnot. He was waiting on the bus, and all of a sudden, like a truck pulls up, right? And he was just sitting there waiting for the bus, about to go home, and the truck pulls up. He's like, "Hey, you want some work?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hop in the back." He just hopped in the back. He said, "Made a quick $200, dude." He dropped him back off, went home.
That's no
taxes, nothing. No commitment,
nothing.
No taxes, no commitment,
nothing. So it's out here. It's good to be brown, because I mean, and I hate to say it, but it seems like the majority of the people are colored out here.
Yeah. There's so much diversity.
Now you get to Orange County. Then it's just Asian and white.
As the houses grow, it's like the color goes down.
Yeah. But I gotta say, most people say that I'm not racist, but I gotta say I'm very racist. I'm self-aware when I walk in a room. I'm the only person of color in that room. Yeah. Back home, because I was just taught that it was a defense mechanism, because just like that, you don't want to walk into a room with a bunch of I'm gonna keep it real here, it's rednecks. Because you don't want to put yourself in that position. It's just best not to.
Might be walking into skin junk or something.
I mean, you could end up in trouble, and I'll be honest, I'm not a very good fighter. I'm a good runner, so. I mean, that's just what it is, though, I'm
good at the time right before the fight, where you bop around a little bit. Just kind of show that you have skill, but you don't really have it. But watch a lot of MMA.
Yeah.
You don't want none of this, and you walk out.
Well, I mean, white guys wrestle, though.
I can't run.
White guys wrestle, so it don't matter. You might be going against an old farm boy, who passes bales around all day. I mean, you don't want to get caught in that. So, my deal is
better off to run.
And you're already guilty when the cops show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you know, I mean, I've been called, you know, the racial slurs on the planes
Sure.
and stuff like that, and so, you know, you just kind of become self-aware of that, you know. It still happens. I mean, I was out with a buddy. I think it was even last winter. I think it was, you know, when my buddy came around and he's like, "Hey, man, you know, I think we were in a casino, and he's like, I need you to, you know, come and hang out with me because these two white guys are, you know, are we allowed to cuss? Is this public broadcasting or anything? Or is this
We're on the res. We have sovereign
live
immunity.
from the res?
We're live. We got sovereign immunity. We don't give a F.
So, you know, these white guys were trying to start shit, and I don't know why he came and got me. I thought, you know, it's like, okay, well, you know, and so it was a big guy, and my friend's a big guy. You know?
He called you.
And there was a little guy. And so, you know, I was there, you know, and, you know, sometimes, you know, I've been in situations where it's not necessarily that, you know, I was thinking of turning this into a video. where
it should be the intro to your comedy special.
You line up the big guy with the big guy and the little guy with the little guy, but then the little guy does no some freaking, you know, Japanese taekwondo shit. You just sit there, get popped up real quick, and just look at him and be like, "I'll trade you. I'll take the big guy."
You don't walk in like Billy Jack with your hat on and no shoes.
No, there's no Billy Jack.
Where is he at? He's where he's supposed to come out. He's supposed to come out right now.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. It's like old Red's feet came up towards you. It's like an eagle's claws.
Scratch that face. Toenail scratch. Where's that Scoting guy everyone's talking about? Where's he at?
Yeah, that's Scoting. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
I didn't mean Scoting like this. I mean Scoting. Let's get out of here.
You know how I knew it was real racist and rough over there is because we have a cousin. We have family over there. And a cousin came back over here, and he's actually passed away now. But I remember going out with him, and we were in East County here, and there was like a bunch of white people there, and him, myself, and he was like talking crap, and I was like, hey, kick back. All these white people, and I was like, hey, whoa, what are you doing?
Hey.
Like, I know these guys, they're cool, you know, like, they're all right. He's like, nah, he was like just really anti-white. And it tripped me out. I was like, why are you so anti-white, man? Like, what are these guys? I thought maybe they did something to him or something, you know?
Like you knew him personally?
But right off the bat, he was just like, hey, cracker. And he's like, hey, man. Like, whoa, hey.
Well,
slow it down. You know?
Fast.
Yeah, he was like right out of the res, though, I guess. So he was, I guess, you know, he had his own histories. But, you know, he didn't realize that out here, it was a lot different. Like, there's a lot of, what do we call them, allies now and stuff. There's a lot of cool white people, man.
Well,
a lot of good ones. And a lot of them, you know, they're, when we got to get stuff done, you know, like there's a lot of dudes that jump in that are non-native that are the main supporters. You know, they're the main ones there.
This is still good.
Yeah, the heart's solid.
It's all good right here. Yeah. And I think
Absolutely.
that's a major part of measuring stuff, you know.
Yeah.
When I moved out here, you know, it's funny because, you know, and I know we're related. I don't know how to say it, but Mexican people, you know.
Yeah.
I ended up working with, you know, the hydraulic scissor lifts, the machines the platforms that raise up in the air, and then they'll work, you know, and you're able to drive, you know, you can do drywall, whatever. So industrial, you know, these boom scissor lifts. So I worked on this in this old yard in Orange, Anaheim by Anaheim anyway. And nothing but Mexican dudes out there, man, and me. Man, you know, and I knew they were cool because, you know, I mean, they started treating me good right off the bat. You know, I walked into work in the morning, and I was always greeted real nicely. You know, they would be like, "Buenos dias, pendejo." I was like, you know, "Hey, good morning, my precious friend." You know, I thought that's what they were saying till I found out what they were saying. Then I was like, "Oh, wait. Okay, so you guys are like that, huh? All right." Then, you know, we start opening it up, and they joke just like us.
Yeah.
You know, and they're rough just like us too. Rough. You know, they live rezzed out in their own way. So, you know, I mean, that kind of goes into, you know, what you're talking about with, you know, having allies and stuff, you know. I mean, it's just a different mentality. It's two different worlds, you know.
Yeah.
for me, I'm a little bit sad that this is all ending. I go back home and I got shows in Belcourt, North Dakota, doing a sobriety conference there. Fort Belknap, Montana, I'm doing a inpatient treatment center on the res. I'm doing a talk there with a group or two throughout the day. And then I'm going to Inn of the Mountain Gods down in, what's it called? Mescalero.
Oh, yeah,
Apache
yeah.
res, so.
Yeah, Apache.
So I got upcoming stuff, but the funny thing is I mean, I could tell you I already kind of know. I've been to some of these places before, and it's not gonna be like kicking it here.
Yeah,
it's different. It's a different environment. And it's a little bit sad. Today, we all went out to the beach. I had people that helped with Randy Bird, my girlfriend's special. We had some of our people in town still, and her brother's staying out here, and I had the Denny family. They were part of the powwow. They sang, dance, and they helped with the special, and so I had people here, and we all went out to the beach, and it just kind of seemed, one by one, the carloads of people started leaving. And, me and the old lady started kind of feeling, that sadness on the inside, like, oh, it's coming to an end. We look forward to this weekend for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's gone now. Mm-hmm. It's done. And, it's sad. It's going to be even more sad when, you start driving out east, and then going to look out, and then we'll just start seeing cornfields and nothing again. And I'll be like, oh, man.
It's going to be real sad.
It's like,
start snowing on you guys.
Yeah, 5 months of being stuck inside the house, and
we're gonna go live. We'll go to the beach and go live.
Yeah, you guys
for Mylo.
Yeah. We're here at Two Dark Natives. I'll be tuning in on you guys' podcast. Hey, can we call in? Probably not. We got somebody. We're really busy right now, having fun. How's not fun for you? Don't get none of this not fun on us.
January 5th, we'll be down at the beach going live with
January 5th. Yeah, we're gonna start up the what is it? The winter challenge again. Yeah, let's start that up again. Yeah.
Did you do that with the ice bucket when they did that?
No, I didn't do any of it, man. I stayed away from all the trends.
It's good.
Yeah, and things are different today too. There's a level of sensitivity. I like, Did you guys watch the Dave Chappelle, the new one?
Yeah, I did.
I really loved it, man.
It was great. I thought it was great.
I watched the first part, and then I got bumped off. Rather than me watch it, so.
Seen him live. He came down to Harris like a month ago, and I think he did part of that special there.
Yeah.
He came to. It was Harris. I think like a month ago.
He was trying out jokes there.
Yeah. He a couple of them out. So listen, he was great. He was great live. It was great. I was one of my old time childhood memories.
I gotta do this. Let's do this, all right? And real quick, and a thing behind it. But the thing I wanted to say before I started was I really love what Dave Chappelle said was today's era of like call out culture. Like, you did something wrong, let's chastise you publicly. Yeah. You're ruined forever. You can't make $1 to your name. You can't, we gotta call you, get you fired. You gotta apologize. Like, I'm kind of not from that era. So, I'm in comedy. One of my mentors here in the comedy, like I said, you had to go hard back then, man.
Yeah.
You didn't come lightly. So, being bold sometimes in a comedy, you're saying things that are on top of your head that are sometimes wrong.
Yeah.
But that's what's funny at the moment.
Yeah. You can say 100 funny things, but the one thing that's not, what did you say? And then they put that out.
All you got to do is offend that one person,
That's what this whole skit's about, right?
And that was one of the things that my mentors that stuck with me all throughout time. Like, if you don't piss one person off, if you don't, one person doesn't think about getting up and walking out of your show, you're not being bold enough, And so I thought I've kept that in my back pocket and been like, okay, I don't care. I don't care if I offend one person. There's 99 other people here. You know what I mean?
It works everywhere but a powwow, though.
Powwows are tough, man.
Right? Because there's a line where you're like, I want to say it, but I turn off the mic and say it.
The mic,
You're like, oh, the mic didn't turn off. Oops.
Well, I'm wondering why I'm not allowed at Sequan next year. But you know, I mean, amongst us, and you know, I've actually thought about starting a podcast on my own.
You should.
There's a lot of you know, there's a lot of things just on a day-to-day basis that we joke around about, but you know, we never put it in video form to support online following. So I'm glad I got to kick it with y'all for this. Man.
I mean, that's what we were saying. You know, it's a big part of this. We just want people to see the human side of us natives. You know, and whether they're from where you're from, way out in the middle of the country, or here on the coast, or from an affluent area, or you know, whatever. If they're, we've had musicians in here now. We've had some tribal elders, some singers, things like that. Just to see us as humans from a very human side, and really for us to see ourselves from that side. Because I think what happens sometimes we get in these weird places where we start taking ourselves so serious, or we take ourselves a little too serious.
Well, everybody wants to
mean?
be, you know, portray the I'm perfect.
Yeah.
The most native. The super native. You know,
like
and it's
you
like
gotta be conservative. You know.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've actually been at conferences where I've said, you know, you should probably take a look at me. And I think I even posted this. I went to a mental health conference. I think I posted this. And, you know, they had me as a keynote speaker and stuff. And they were probably like just sitting in the audience be like, that's what you don't want to be like. You know?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem being wrong. You know? I mean, I know I'm going to bounce off the walls. It's just, you know, this call out culture today.
Well, that's a real human thing. Nobody's perfect. You know, we're always told that.
That's what it is, you know?
I really think that call out culture goes against our real traditional culture, because I feel like with our traditional cultures all over, you know, you get the sense of you're not going to know it all. You know, you got to learn, you're going to make mistakes. And the more you learn, you get closer to like becoming a wise elder or whatever, you know. But when you're young, especially when you're young, you're going to make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like we were saying earlier, in our area, a lot of our cultural practitioners, a lot of people who do the ceremonies are grave diggers, things like that, who do the work to make sure that when we go on our final journey that everything's taken care of. For the longest time, a lot of them were, you know, drinkers and partiers, and they're telling bad jokes, and they're this and that. Definitely a very high level of respect amongst them. But at the same time, it's not like they're sitting there holier than thou. They're very human. And it's like we all mess up. And in this council culture, you're going to take a good person and say, oh, you messed up, and now we're throwing you out like the trash.
Yeah.
You know, and this new council culture wants to do that. And it's like, think about our own Indian history when you spoke your language, they were trying to throw you out like trash. You did your own cultural stuff, you're trying to throw you out like trash.
Yeah.
You know, you were trying to be Indian instead of this new American, they would have thrown you out like trash. And if we would have done this cancel culture to ourselves 50 years ago, 100 years ago, we probably would have nothing left today. Because you really had to be that, I don't care what the popular American culture has to say, I'm going to be native, I'm going to be whatever the hell I am.
Yeah.
And John Trudell said the drunk Indian, right? Like, it was the drunk Indian who allowed us to be who we were, because you know, I'd rather be drunk than go be what you're going to tell me what I'm supposed to be, right? And so this whole, like, just I'm going to be real with myself. And, you know, I don't think it's good to be out, you know, like I'm a man of sobriety also, but for right now, this week. But I do believe, though, like, you know, we have so many people coming at us as it is as natives in a lot of ways. We have so much attacking on our culture. Out here, you know, language is hanging on by a thread, and we're trying to keep whatever culture stuff we have alive. We're in the front lines. We're right next to the cities and stuff. The last thing we need to start beating each other up because someone said something a little wrong, or someone hooked up with their cousin, or so you know, or someone made an ass
themselves. You're really I know you're really from the res and like
extra live.
Yeah.
But no, you know, we all mess up like that. We got to be able to give that forgiveness. You know, promote that healing, and then let them move forward, you know? And I think by doing that, those people are allowed to grow and better themselves. And with that growth, they can then turn around and help their communities, their families, and really be probably what they were meant to be from the start. You know, sometimes you got to go down that beat up road.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I was a 19-year-old alcoholic. I was shameful, you know? I have to say it like this, you know? It's only keeping it real. Probably brought a lot of shame and disgrace on my family, you know, with my drinking and what I did. And you know, nowadays, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not boasting, but you know, I'm just really happy with where I'm at, because you know, I see that need exactly. I was given a second chance, you know. If I was part of that call out culture today, I mean,
Yeah.
you're just trash.
Yeah.
And you're labeled that for the rest of your life, you know. But that second chance, you know, I mean, I think that's the part that I really enjoyed about, you know, what Dave Chappelle said in his special.
Now I got to really watch that.
So there's
good.
like, you know, there's some real stuff in comedy. John Leguizamo's Latin History for Morons, man. He went through his entire history, and it was informational, it was educational, and funny and entertaining all the way through. That's on Netflix, man. You know, I had to sit my daughter down. I was like, hey, man, you know, what they're teaching you in school, I want you to know there's another side of the story.
Yeah.
You know? Because the history books, you know, they don't tell our history.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, he was going through the same thing, telling Latin history to his son. And you know what? The funny thing was, his son, and this is why I had it, because the son felt like he was less now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it was, I don't know what you would call it, you know, subconscious programming through the school.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Through the teaching, through the history, you feel down. You know, and so he had to say, hey, you know what? But you know what you came from? You came from these Incas, these Mayans, these conquistadors, and you started researching, you know, and how they helped build America, where they were giving loans, giving loans to help fund wars and stuff. I mean, he went deep with it, and we have that story too. You know, as people, we have our own story like that, and so. In comedy, you know, it doesn't necessarily, I go to all these community events, you know, a lot of them, they all have different meanings, or, you know, there's sobriety conferences, diabetes, education, ICWA, I mean, everything that you can
free
think
t-shirt
of.
conference.
Yeah, the free t-shirt, and that's another one too, is, you know, people always
I got about 30 of them, man. I'll wear them all.
T-shirt, yeah.
When am I it's a cool Powwow.
Like 2 years ago. Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, it was last year, sure.
And he designed it, that's why.
Yeah. Drew a picture of myself in there.
So, you know, and in our culture, you know, Native culture, humor has just been woven into it because we've been dealt, you know, so many crappy situations, you know. You could think about it. You could hear Indians in jail laughing. You don't even have your freedom, but you're laughing, you're enjoying yourself. Indians will be 110 degrees and it's broke down on the side of the road. Indians are in their car laughing, you know. It's just constantly, and you could take that and, you know, all kinds of situations, but it's just kind of who we are, is we're constantly making lemonade out of the lemons, you know?
Yeah.
And we're making the best of the situation. We don't always get the best of everything, but, you know, we're making the best of it, and that's kind of who we are as a people, you know, that strive, you know, that keep going, you know, and with that good spirit there, you know? So that's kind of, you know, comedy, and our ways and just who we are, I guess, you know, encompassed as a people.